Okay. Nehemiah, August 17th, Nehemiah 12:27 through 13:31. Now, at the dedication of the wall at Jerusalem, they sought out the Levites in their places to bring them to Jerusalem to celebrate the dedication with gladness, both with thanksgiving and singing, with cymbals and stringed instruments and harps. And the sons of the singers gathered together from the countryside around Jerusalem, from the villages of Nephtalius, and from the houses of Gilgal, from the fields of Geba and Asmus, for the singers had built themselves villages all around Jerusalem. Then the priests and the Levites purified themselves and purified the people, the gates and the wall. So I brought the leaders of Judah up on the wall and appointed two large thanksgiving choirs. One went when the right hand of the wall to the refuge gate, and after them went Hosea and half of the leaders of Judah, and Araziah, Ezra, Melisam, Judah, Benjamin, Shema, Jeremiah and some of the priests, sons of the trumpets, Zechariah the son of Jonathan, the son of Shammah, the son of Mattha, the son of Messiah, the son of Zachar, the son of Ashaph, and the brethren, Shemaiah, Ezra, Malai, Galai, Mai, Nathaniel, Judah, and Hanai, and the musical instruments of David, the man of God. Ezra the scribe went before them by the fountain gate in the front of them and went up the stairs to the city of David on the stairway of the wall beyond the house of David as far as the west gate out eastward. The other Thanksgiving choir went the opposite way, and I was behind them with half the people of the walls, going past the tower of the ovens as far as the broad wall, and above the gate of Ephraim, above the old gate, above the fish gate, the tower of Hamal, the tower of the hundred, as far as the sheep gate, and they stopped by the gate of the prison. So the two thanksgiving choirs stood in the house of God. Likewise, I and half the rulers with me, and the priests Echiam, Mesan, Manahan, Mahakal, Azariah, Zechariah, and Hananiah with trumpets, also with Manasseh, Shemaiah, Azar, Yazi, Jo, Jehotham, Melichan, Elam, and Ezra. The singers sang loudly with Jezaiah, the director. Also that day they offered great sacrifices and rejoiced, for the Lord had made them rejoice with great joy. The women and the children also rejoiced, that the joy of Jerusalem was also heard afar off. At that same time, some were appointed over the rooms of the storehouse for the offerings and the first fruits and the tithes, to gather them from the fields and from the cities, the portion specific to the law for the priests and for the Levites. For Judah rejoiced over the priests and the Levites who ministered. Both the singers and the gatekeepers kept the charge of their God and of their charge of their purification, according to the command of David and Solomon his son. For the days of David and Asher of old, there were the chiefs and the singers and the songs of praise and thanksgiving of God. In those days, Zerubbabel, and in the days of Nehemiah of Israel, gave portions for the singers and for their gatekeepers, a portion for each day. They also consecrated holy things for the Levites, and the Levites consecrated them for the children of Aaron. On the day that they read from the book of Moses in the hearing of the people, and in it was found that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever come into the assembly of God, because they had not met the children of Israel with bread and water, but hired Bohan, our God, but hired Balaam against them to curse them. However, our God turned the curse into a blessing. So it was that when they heard the law, that they separated all the mixed multitude from Israel. Now before this, Isabib, the priest, having authority over the storerooms of the house of God, was allotted with Tobish, and had prepared for him a large room, which previously they had stored grain offerings, the frankincense, the articles, the tithes of grain, the new wine, all of which were commanded to be given to the Levites and the singers and the gatekeepers, and of the offerings to the priests. But during all this, I was not in Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes, I can never say that, king of Babylon, I had returned to the king. Then, after certain days, I obtained leave from the king, and I came to Jerusalem and discovered the evil that Ishbab had done for Tobath in preparing a room for him in the courts of the house of God. And it grieved me bitterly. Therefore, I threw all the household goods of Tobath out of the room. Then I commanded them to cleanse the rooms, and I brought back into them the articles of the house of God with the grain offerings and the frankincense. I also realized that the portions for the Levites had not been given to them, for each of the Levites and the singers who did not work had gone back to his field. So I contended with the rulers and said, why is the house of God forsaken? And I gathered them together and set them in their place. Then all Judah brought the tithe of the grain and the new wine and the oil in the storehouse. And I appointed as treasurers over the storehouse Shemaiah, the priest of Zodok, and the scribe and the Levite Pedadiah. And next to them was Hanan, the son of Zara, the son of Madai, and they were considered faithful in their task to distribute to the brethren. Remember me, O God, concerning this, and do not wipe out my good deeds that I have done for the house of my God and for its service. In those days, I saw people in Judah treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves and loading donkeys with grapes, figs, and all kinds of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I warned them about the day on which they were selling provisions. Men of Tyre dwelt there also, and brought in fish and all kinds of goods, and sold them on the Sabbath to the children of Judah and Jerusalem. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said to them, Why? What evil thing is this you have done by which you profaned the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers do thus? And did not our God bring all this disaster on us, on this on this city? Yet you bring added wrath on Israel to profane the Sabbath. So it was at the gates of Jerusalem, as it began in the dark before the Sabbath, that I commanded the gates to be shut, and I charged that they must not be opened till after the Sabbath. And I posted some of the servants at all the gates, so that no burdens would be brought in on the Sabbath day. Now the merchants and the sellers of all kinds of wares lodged outside Jerusalem once or twice. Then I warned them and said to them, Why do you spend the night around the wall? If you do it again, I will lay hands on you. From that time on, they came no more on the Sabbath. And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and that they should go and guard the gates and sanctify the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my God, concerning this also, and spare me according to to the greatness of your mercy. In those days, I also saw Jews who had married women of Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab, and half of their children spoke the language of Ashdod and could not speak the language of Judah, but spoke according to the language of one or the other people. So I contended with them and cursed them, and struck one of them and pulled out their hair, and made them swear by God, saying, You shall not give your daughters as wives to their sons, nor take their daughters for your sons, for of yourselves. Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations there was no king like him, who was beloved by his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, pagan women caused even him, to sin. Should we then hear of your doing all this great evil, transgressing against our God by marrying pagan women? And one of the sons of Johad, the son of Ishbab, the high priest, was the son-in-law of Shabal, the Haronite. Therefore I drove him from me. Remember them, O my God, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and the Levites. Thus I cleansed them of everything pagan, and I also assigned duties to the priests and the Levites, each to his own service, and bringing the wood offering, the first fruits at the appointed times. Remember me, O God, for good. 1 Corinthians 11, 1 through 16. Imitate me just as I imitate Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the traditions just as I delivered them to you. But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of every woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. But every woman who prays and prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. For that is one and the same as if her head were shaved. For if a woman is not covered, let her also be shown. But if it is shameful for a woman to be shorn or shaved, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to uncover his head, since he is the image and the glory of God. But woman is the glory of man. For every man is not from woman, but every woman from man. Nor was man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man independent of the woman, nor the woman independent of the man in the Lord. For as the woman came from the man, even so man also comes through the woman. But all things are from God. Judge among yourselves. Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Does not even nature itself teach you that a man has long hair? That if a man has long hair, it is a dishonor to him. But if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her. For her hair is given to her for a covering. But if anyone seems to be contentious, we have no such custom, nor do the churches of God. Psalms 35, 1 through 16, the Psalm of David. Plead my cause, O Lord, with those who strive with me. Fight against those who fight against me. Take hold of the shield and the buckler, and stand up for my help. And also draw out the spear, and stop those who pursue me. Say to my soul, I am your salvation. Let those be put to shame and brought to dishonor who seek after my life. Let those be turned back and brought to confusion who pile up my hurt. Let them be like chaff before the wind, and let the angel of the Lord chase them. Let their way be dark and slippery, and let the angel of the Lord pursue them. For without cause they have hidden and their net for me in a pit, which they have dug without cause for my life. Let the destruction come upon him unexpectedly, and let his net that he has hidden catch him. Into the very destruction let him fall. And my soul shall be joyful in the Lord. It shall rejoice in his salvation. All my bones shall say, Lord, who is like you? Delivering the poor from him who is too strong for him. Yes, the poor and the needy from him who plunders him. Pierce the witnesses, fierce witnesses rise up. They ask me, they ask me these things that I do not know. They reward me evil for good, to the sorrow of my soul. But as for me, when they are sick, and when they were sick, but as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled myself with fasting, and my prayer would return to my own heart. I paced about as though he were my friend and my brother. I bowed down heavily as one who mourns for his mother. But my adversary, they rejoiced. But in my adversity, they rejoiced and gathered together. Attackers gathered against me and I did not know it. They tore at me and did not cease. With ungodly mockers at feasts, they gathered with me. They gnashed at me with their teeth. Proverbs 21, 17 through 18. He who loves pleasure will be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the unfaithful for the upright. Okay, we'll see you all tomorrow.